Look what we're driving home. And we're going to take Brit to school in it tomorrow morning. But this car had other ideas. Earlier this week, tried to set fire to itself. So, for those of you who haven't seen this one before, it's the 19, we think it's a 77 Pontiac Firebird Formula 400, which has got the 6.6 litre V8 in it, which puts out a pathetic, I think, 185 or 205 horsepower. But it's a car I've always wanted this shape Firebird. Anyway, it was down with the Moors guys to get it as a reliable driver. It obviously needs loads of bodywork, it needs interior, that kind of thing, but I just wanted to be able to enjoy it and use it a bit and drive it around a bit. But it wasn't a happy car. It wasn't running right. It wouldn't power up hills at all. It was overheating, all sorts of bits and bobs. Again, you might have seen from the previous videos. But as I said, the Moors guys weren't getting around to have a look at it, so I had a recommendation for a garage in Barnstaple, A&R. Let me just check the exact name again. Yes, A&R Auto Repairs in Barnstaple. They're recommended as someone who knows, you know, the old American engines, knows carburetors and that kind of thing, for them to have a look at it. So I said, right, Adrian, gave them a ring, booked it in, said, Adrian, can you go and pick it up and take it down there for me? So Adrian, being from AK Van Transport, that does all of my moving about the place, I didn't fancy driving it over there, so I sent him down there, went down to Moors to pick it up, got it started up, but it coughed and sputtered, and then let's just pull the bonnet release and show you a second. Yeah, then promptly set fire to itself. It set fire to its carburettor, and you can see all the burning there on the lovely Elderbrock ram flow that our subscriber sent me, kind gift. Yeah, set fire to it, burnt all the foam out of it. Apparently, he had flames coming out from underneath the bonnet. Adrian ran around like a panicked man trying to get hold of a fire extinguisher, and they had to douse the whole engine bay with I think they used foam, or was it powder? I don't know. You can see some residues of it kicking around the place to put it out. But luckily their quick thinking, well, Adrian's quick thinking, meant that the car didn't go completely up in flames, because I imagine it, well, you can see there's a bit of scorching to the underside of the bonnet there. I don't know how far it could have gone. It could have obviously caused a lot more damage, but we had none of the hoses or the wiring was burnt up, luckily enough. So yeah, they put it out. And he gave me a bit of a panic call and said, James, what do you want to do? I mean, you know, it's out. Do you still want us to load it on? And I didn't realise how actually bad the fire had got, because he said, oh, it had the carburetor coughed and spitted and set fire, and I thought it meant it just kind of backfired, which it did anyway. I said, oh yeah, no worries, just load it up again. But I think they must have been on standby with the fire extinguisher when they did that. Luckily, they got it on okay and got it down to the A&R guys. While we're talking about potentially losing it all on a car, it's a good time to introduce today's sponsor, CarVertical. For those who don't already know, CarVertical is the largest online database of vehicle information. So it's the first check you should be doing on any potential car purchase, even before you go and see it. It's super simple to use. Let me show you on the Firebird here. As always, I've got the app on my phone all ready to go. So all we do is bung in the reg, MKU393W. And off CarVertical goes to do its thing. The report is back, let's check it out. And we can see the Firebird comes back as okay for theft, okay for mileage, okay for financial status, okay for a title check, and okay for damage. You can see here it's tracked title changes in the US and when it was imported into the UK. Now my Firebird had a nice clean history, but not all muscle cars do. Let me show you what someone found when they checked out this Dodge Challenger on CarVertical. It was okay for theft, okay for mileage, okay for finance, okay for title, but had a yellow warning for damage. If we scroll down, CarVertical actually shows us the damage that this Challenger suffered in 2019. But then in 2020, the car's back up, fully repaired. Now, if you were going to go and see this vehicle, you would absolutely want to know that it had this previous damage, so you didn't make a big financial mistake, because you should be paying about 30% less for it. Perhaps you're thinking, I never checked the history of my car, or you're going to look at a car soon, or maybe a friend is and you want to get your own CarVertical. Well, the good news is, if you use the code CHOPSGarage, you'll get yourself a nice discount on your own CarVertical. There is a link in the video description down below through the CarVertical, and I said use that code CHOPSGarage to get yourself a nice discount. I want to thank CarVertical for being a continued sponsor of Chops Garage. Now back to the Firebird. I said, oh yeah, no worries, just load it up again. but I think they must have been on standby with the fire extinguisher when they did that. Luckily they got it on okay and got it down to the A&R guys. My instructions then were the same, just get it as a reliable running driver so I can enjoy it before we start tearing into it and doing bodywork and interior, that kind of thing. I fully expected it to end up being a back burner thing and they just stick it in a corner and get back to me in a couple of weeks time. But instead, within 24 hours I got a phone call and they said, right, we've checked it, your distributor is actually a few teeth out, it's been put in wrong. So no wonder you're having problems with it. So the distributor was out of whack. Turns out some of the leads were put in the wrong order as well. So they redid all of that. And they said your issue with your temperature is not that you've got a problem with the hose at the bottom. They said it was your overflow here was actually leaking over the top of that hose, making you think it was that hose that was a problem. But the reason it was overheating was that the little electronic fan setup they had here wasn't set up correctly and it wasn't kicking in at all. So yeah, within the space of 24 hours, and the timing was really out. You can see there's a mark there now where they've started doing the timing. And yeah, they said within 24 hours they had all of that sussed out. I mean, fantastic service. They said to me, what do you want to do? Do you want us to properly set up some fans, or we can just give you a switch inside the car for you to manually turn them on, which I've obviously opted for because it means I've got the car back. And yeah, they just, like I say, it was another 24 hours. They said we just want to do some testing, and they took it out. They were setting up, they said, I don't know how to set it up myself. They did tell me how it works. Maybe somebody watching the channel knows. They said we haven't set up your kick down yet. They said they didn't want it to be too aggressive because it's got so much torque they didn't think it needed to kick down particularly quickly. But they said there was a sliding bar somewhere along here that I could adjust. So at the moment it doesn't kick down very quickly at all. Maybe it's something to do with this stuff here. Oh, here we go. That's what they must be talking about, I guess. So you've got this bar here, and I guess you can decide if that's something to do with how aggressively it kicks down into a lower gear or not. That was loose there. I don't know if that's supposed to be tight. But anyway, it's running and it's driving well. And so yeah, it doesn't kick down aggressively at the moment. It's got so much torque it doesn't need to. I don't want to be slamming my foot down and getting the rear end slipping and sliding all over the place. And having now used the car several times for, you know, home and back, it's entirely drivable as it is, but there obviously is room for a lot more improvement. First of all, being obviously get the bodywork done. Want to get the trims for the doors so that the windows don't rattle around as well. Try and take some of the rattles out of it. But yeah, well chuffed with what they managed to do there. So there you go. We will get some driving on the road filming done at some point. Maybe it might be in this video, maybe not, depending on how things go with our continuing fiddling with it. But yeah, just a massive shout out to those guys. It just shows the difference if you can find yourself a garage that knows a bit about, specialises, or I don't think specialise them, but they know a bit about them and they're enthusiastic about them, then that's what you can get done. Now in true chop styles, we cut to the point where I got massively distracted then, and Pete and I ended up playing around with the car. So when I was just talking about how we can adjust this here for the kick down to try and make it drop down gear and accelerate harder, we noticed that this throttle cable was super loose. It was all baggy, and there was about, well, probably nearly 1.5 inches, 2 inches of travel before you started getting pedals. So we decided to adapt this little bracket here, bent it forward, drilled a new hole, put it there. So we've actually now got full throttle pedal, and having taken it out, it is a different car. It accelerates much harder. Still got to work on the kick down. I did tighten that nut up, and that was bunching up and making the throttle stick on high. So we've got to play around with that a bit more. But that definitely it's accelerating a lot harder now. I also put the new mesh in the air filter. So I'm kind of trying to remember where I was with it. Anyway, yeah. So a shout out to the A&R guys. So we'll go for a little road test in the Firebird. There's no real good place to set up the camera. I've missing some of the equipment, and this thing is noisy, like massively noisy. You'll probably struggle to hear me over the engine. So we're just going to go and see what that bit of extra throttle response is going to make difference wise. We've got our cable here that I can turn on to turn the fans on. Want to keep the temp down. We'll keep an eye on that. It is wet and greasy out today, so we're going to have to go a bit steady. we're just going to see how we do. Hopefully you can hear me. Tracking's out quite a lot. We need to go and get the tracking sorted out. There's a lot of noise in the windows because I need to get the seals on. It hasn't got the seals, the felt seals that hold the glass in place, so they're rattling about the place. Just letting it get a little warmed up first. It's changing up. About a second, I guess. A light throttle, it feels more responsive. Yeah, she's keener to go for sure. I've just stopped a second now. She warmed up to try and find you a better camera place, and now she's warmed up, like I say, we can give it a bit harder acceleration. So apologies for the bad camera work there. We've got some new kit on order, and to be honest, anywhere you put something on this, it just shakes it to bits anyway. So what have we got? We've got a car that basically now is way more drivable. Before, like I say, you put your foot down, it wanted to cut out, it wouldn't let you have any power, and it did feel pretty lethargic. The work those guys have done, and then that little adjustment on the throttle, now we've got, you know, much more sprightly takeoff. Still doesn't feel quick, but then it's only, what, 185 brake horsepower in a car that probably weighs 1500 kilo or something. They're not quick cars. I think on paper they're like 9 seconds to 60, and I'd say that's pretty much fast. That's how fast it feels, like a sort of a warm hatch kind of performance, but with a lot of noise to go along with it, which I have to be honest, I love. To be honest, the best thing from one of these, I can totally see why people do the resto mods and put a more modern engine in it. If you could keep the looks and have some modern performance. I mean, I was chatting to someone the other day thinking something like, you got an engine out of an LS 430 Lexus with sort of 300 brake horsepower as a V8, put that in there with the auto box, and you'd have a cruiser that looked fantastic but have Lexus reliability. Would be quite cool. I know you can get the LS engines from the Corvettes and put them in, but it's a lot of expense for something, to be honest, I don't actually want to go that quick in. I just want to potter around in and just have something a bit different. So yes, the next stages for it will be, I want to get the interior tarted up. So what I'm going to do on that is get all this stuff out and retrim it. I've got those felts coming to stop the glass from wobbling about the place. It's the piece of the trim that go down here that are needed. They're on the way. But get these door cards off and repair bits like this, and then vinyl paint all that black, vinyl paint all this black, fabric paint that black. I want these seats completely black, so I'll just spray those black with a fabric spray, so the whole interior is black. The center console will vinyl spray that black. We'll vinyl wrap that. I've got the roll of vinyl somewhere, so I'll vinyl wrap that rather than have that as fabric. These bits of trim at the back that are looking very sad for themselves, we'll clean those down, vinyl wrap those, sort this headliner out that's not been fitted right. I've got a rear cover for the shelf which will vinyl wrap black as well, and then get the exterior painted. And like I say, we'll just go black again on all of this with some gold highlights again. Wheels I'm happy with, they'll clean up okay. And then it'll just be a nice usable car. I can do a few shows in it. I can just get out and enjoy it. Brit loves it. She likes, you know, we go for coffees on Sundays in it, that kind of thing. I know it won't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, because just a lot of people out there don't like American cars. A lot of people don't like the later American cars that didn't really have the horsepower to go along with the looks. But that's what the whole car thing's all about, isn't it? We've all got the things we love. That's what keeps it interesting. That's what keeps shows interesting. That's what keeps the industry alive. People falling in love with different motors and wanting to spend money on them. It doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, cannot thank the guys at A&R enough for getting that running well. Thanks for Adrian for dropping it off and picking up, and a massive thanks for Adrian for not letting it, and the Moores boys for not letting it set fire to itself, because yeah, I wouldn't like my first insurance claim to be my Firebird. So if that interests you and you want to see what happens with the rest of my ailing classic car collection and with the modern sales, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. As always, massive thanks for watching, thanks for the support, and I'll catch you on the next one. A reminder, there's only a few days left for you to enter the draw for this lovely Jaguar XJ 3 litre V6. It's the 2005. I think it's done 57,000 miles, something like that. Double check that on the listing for it. But yes, it is just an absolute stunner of a car. We put the brand new MOT on it. It's all freshly serviced. It drives absolutely beautiful. Condition is fantastic. The interior is so beautiful on this. Unbelievably nice car. And if you remember, a portion of the proceeds from this raffle are going to Sophie's Legacy. That is the charity that supports families that have children in hospital with cancer. Thanks for all of you that have supported this so far. I say there's a few more days left for you to enter, and best of luck to you all. Remember, there is a second prize. If you win the raffle and decide you don't actually want the car, there's an alternative prize of a big bundle of technical equipment, diagnosis kit for cars, jump packs, battery testers, that kind of thing. And then what will happen is, if someone chooses not to have the car, we'll put the car up for sale, and the proceeds from that will also go to the charity. So I'll put a link in the video description down below, or just search Chops Garage raffle and you'll find it will come up in Google results.